So, el capital and la capital, or el papa and la papa, or el artista and la artista are all technically correct?
That's right. In Spanish, nouns have gender.
And first and foremost, whenever you learn a new noun, you want to try to learn it with its gender. Otherwise, you could run into some problems later.
And today, we're gonna give you general rules to figure out if a word is masculine or feminine, both or sometimes either or.
Now, these are not 100% the rule. In Spanish, there are always exceptions. Try to think of these rules that if you use these rules, if you had to guess what the gender would be, almost always you're going to be correct. And we'll try to group them together so that it makes the most sense. So to start with, what will almost always be a masculine noun?
Generally, nouns that end in O. Can you give me an example?
El año, el queso, or el zapato.
Good. Okay, nouns that end in hambre and aje.
El calambre, el equipaje, el paisaje, or el mensaje. And also it'll be masculine when we have nouns that end in or an.
El amor, el calor, el sudor, el imán, el tucán, el volcán.
Okay, not too bad, right? So far, so good. So these next nouns will almost always be feminine. And those are nouns that always end in a. Give us a few examples.
La alberca, la pelota, la cocina. Nouns that end in ción and ción. La canción, la contaminación, la estación.
La admisión, la pasión, la misión. Nouns that end in dad or tad, like la ciudad, la edad, la dignidad.
La amistad, la dificultad o la libertad.
Endings in IE, EZA, and SIS. So, la serie o la especie.
La limpieza, la tristeza, la pobreza, la crisis, la dosis. Okay, now nouns that end in tud and umbre. For example, la virtud, la esclavitud, la exactitud.
La certidumbre, la costumbre, la cumbre.
Ojo!
That's right, there are a few things to watch out for here. The first one being words like photo and moto might look irregular, but they're actually just shortened words for la fotografía and la motocicleta.
And some nouns that end in A are masculine.
That's right. Note that the following groups with AL, EL, IA, MA, or end in ama, emma, or oma are usually masculine. For example, el delantal, or el documental, el mantel, or el pastel, el día, el tranvía.
El clima, el fantasma, el programa, el crucigrama, el problema, el sistema, el diploma, el idioma.
Okay, good. We've seen that there are a lot of ways to tell whether a noun is going to be masculine or feminine. Now, this next section actually has no general rules. Now, this is the section where you just sort of have to memorize these words or get them with practice. For example, a word that ends in an E or a consonant that wasn't part of our previous groups could be masculine or feminine. So, Darcy, can you give us an example?
Yeah. El cine, la clase, el lápiz, la cruz.
So we see same endings for those words, but different genders.
Professions and individuals can end in a, ante, or e, ista.
That's right. So words like el cantante or la cantante, el or la gerente, or el or la turista. Likewise, professions, people, and some animals that end in es, n, on, or or are masculine. And in the feminine form, they'll add an a and drop the accent if there is one, like this.
El director, la directora, el profesor, la profesora, el contador, la contadora,
El campeón, la campeona. El león, la leona. El francés, la francesa.
Some nouns are spelled the same for masculine and feminine, and only the article changes. So, for example, el modelo and la modelo. El testigo, la testigo. El joven, la joven.
Now, although there are very few, some nouns are invariable, like el ángel, la estrella, or la víctima. So it doesn't matter whether we talk about a man or a woman, the gender doesn't change. And one of the hardest rules for me to learn is when you have a feminine noun, but for pronunciation's sake, it needs to take a masculine article in the singular form. And so these are words that will start with an A with an accent, an A without an accent, or HA. So Darcy, give us some examples.
El agua, el águila, el alma, el hacha, el hambre.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying this video and bettering your Spanish with us, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. It really helps us to grow the channel.
Now, the fun part.
That's right. So this is the best part because these genders don't change. So these following nouns are always masculine.
And those are days of the week and months of the year.
That's right. It'll always be el martes, el jueves, el domingo. And although we don't usually use articles with months, they're still considered a masculine noun.
For example, este ha sido un diciembre frío.
Okay, good. Now, also colors. Colors are always going to be masculine. So you'll have el amarillo, el verde, el azul. Also, it'll always be masculine when you talk about rivers, seas, and oceans.
El río Nilo, el río Bravo, el Mar Negro, el Mar Muerto, el Océano Pacífico, el Océano Atlántico.
And also infinitive verbs when they're placed at the beginning of a sentence and used as a noun. This is like the equivalent in English of ing. So, for example,
el correr es bueno para tu salud. El leer es entretenido. And don't forget, compound nouns are always masculine.
That's right, these are my favorites, like your el abre latas, or el lavaplatos, el paraguas.
El parabrisas, el sacacorchos. On the contrary, these are always feminine.
Letters of the alphabet. So whenever you want to say the M or the O, there's an accent on the I. You're going to say la M or la A, la I, la Z. And also, islands are always feminine.
Las Filipinas, las Bahamas.
And lastly, this is the part where we see a noun can have both a masculine and a feminine form and mean two different things. So, el capital is actually money, but la capital would be like a capital city. El cometa is a comet, whereas la cometa is a kite. El cura is a priest, whereas la cura is a cure.
El orden is an order like in a sequence. La orden is an order like a command. El papa, the pope. La papa, the potato. El policía, the police officer. La policía, the police force.
Awesome. Remember, it's always best to learn nouns with their genders, and it's always best to learn genders with their groups.
Now, watch this video to keep improving your Spanish. Until next time.
Has no general rule.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. There was a mosquito flying and it was like this, so it's gonna look weird.